Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Triple Triad podcast. I'm Emotempest, and I am gathered here with the best boys from our team, South Florida. We have Andy Carmona, TCG Tacos, and Sergio Bravo. Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Howdy, folks.
We got a very interesting show today. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. Not gonna lie, I'm gonna throw this out there. This is the second time we record this, but
Can you not?
The heartbreak.
Yeah, what's going on over here?
Yeah. We're not gonna say why. We're just gonna say that we had to.
No, you don't have to say that at all. As a matter of fact, we're redoing this now.
I'm actually glad because a lot of stuff has come to light, and it's good. I think it's better for the discussion, right? For the episode in general. So, we're going to cover a few things.
You're a one-take Jake, my friend. You can't even do a take two.
It's okay. You can always edit this out.
It all stays. He has no time for edit. He just says, cool, thanks for the file. Ship it straight to YouTube.
Right then and there.
You don't have to add the intro music because Tacos did it.
I'm actually going to add that to the end of the clip, actually. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we're gonna talk about tournaments, right? We've had a pretty start to the new year. Xanarkand was the opener, and then we just had the Brotherhood New Year Festival over in the UK. And so I kind of want to talk about the meta shifting from then and now, which is funny because after looking at it now, the top four looks very similar. We're also going to address how Warp has been treating us this set. Like, how do we feel about it after using it now for a few weeks, actually. We're also going to cover the biggest disappointments, I think, of the set, which there's a few in my opinion. And now that official play has finally been announced, we're gonna hit that one right in the head too. So let's get started. So Xanarkand was the opener for us, right? Our first big tournament, Octagon tournament. And the top 16 is very diverse, but my thing with this one is that I feel like it isn't indicative of what the meta could have been because everyone was allowed to switch decks during Swiss rounds. Even though during the stream we saw a lot of mono water, there isn't that much mono water in top. So the first question goes to Tacos. What do you think about like the decks we saw there compared to what we're seeing now in the UK?
So, I mean, I guess in that case, I mean, in the Swiss rounds, you kind of want like maybe the most consistent thing, I suppose. So, water just seems like it was really good, at least as far as Xanarkand goes, which is probably why like a lot of people opted into that deck. And then I guess you kind of just like switched to like their preference afterwards. Although I can't say like everyone did that. I know, quite a few of these guys they did play like the deck that they ended up topping with. So there's that. But after a few weeks with Brotherhood, we could definitely see the wind, water, and like ice lightning definitely being more prevalent. Those been like cemented like in the meta now. Everything else is kind of like I would say fringe, but they're still good. I mean, like it's not that like one deck is gonna beat all of them. I suppose like on a good day, like any deck could win. But I would say like this Opus has been quite good. I've been having a lot of fun. I know I got burnt out last one, but it's rather good so far. At least that's what I think.
Okay, Sergio.
Yeah, so checking out these results, I don't think the deck switching thing is that big a deal for the Xanarkand event. I mean, if you want to look at it like as a like exact by the numbers, how did this deck do? You obviously can't get that data from here, but if you check out the two like big events we've had, which is Xanarkand and the Brotherhood New Year's, like the top three decks are the same and in the same order too. It's Ice Wind in water and into Ice Lightning. So and I think that makes sense, right? Which is like what Tacos was saying. Those are I think like the three top decks, right? You got Wind or Ice Wind, then you've got water, and then Ice Lightning kind of like affecting each other like a weapon triangle. So I think those are definitely the 3 top decks to watch out for when you go to any event, and probably the 3 top decks to play. So all of them are really good. And there's plenty of other good decks too, like Tacos was saying. Like any of these decks could have gotten it, and nothing's for sure. Like I don't know if anybody of you guys have seen the RVA that was this week, which is 2 days ago. Eureka won with Mono Water Leo.
Yeah.
And the finals match was against Ice Wind. So like, thank God I didn't bet on that one, because I would have lost all my money, because I would have said for sure this is free for Ice Wind, and Eureka cleaned house with his Mono Water deck. So it really is. It could be anybody's game, but those are definitely the 3 decks that I think are the ones to watch out for.
Yeah, and I like how you mentioned the weapon triangle thing, because I know we've all been playing Fire Emblem, but I think those 3 decks have been they kind of reflect that same thing, right? So, and I think you'll agree with me here that wind beats water, water beats ice, and ice lightning, and then ice lightning beats the wind, right? Like
yeah, that's the weapon triangle.
That's the weapon triangle here, right? And then obviously there's always the rogue decks, because we saw Soiree from the Xanarkand, and a few other interesting night and fire water stuff, and obviously Viridian's ice earth, which after playing Tacos, it was really interesting to finally go up against that. So, and then the Brotherhood finally had, I think, an avalanche I saw there, and then instead of the ice lightning, instead of the ice earth, I'm seeing the lightning earth in that 5th spot. Like the rogue decks are funny, but again, like you said, those top 3 are the ones that are, showing face. And I wonder if the matchup had been different, right? Would we have seen a different top, right? Like if the ice lightning had played the wind ice first instead, or right? If it was the bracket, it would have been different. But I guess we'll have to see for the next tournaments to come out. Andy, what do you think about the meta?
I think it's too early, right? Still, there's people messing with the new cards that are coming out, right? We haven't seen, for example, Yuffie, right? Which is, we all know it's a strong standalone card, but we haven't seen anything crazy with it yet, other than like maybe it's more like a mono Yuffie deck or something like that. But par from the course. This is interesting to see that these 3 decks, they keep resurging and seeing in the top 3 those colors that you guys mentioned, and I like it. I like the fact that we have a huge resurgence on ice, which last Opus we didn't even see ice wasn't even touched. I'm trying to think of anything that I think the most used ice card was the Soiree guy, right?
Yeah, Irwin.
Irwin, right? That was like the most played ice thing. No, and then you still had what's it called? Wind ice, right? But it's like 89% wind, 10% ice. You just kind of do the rest. Because in that deck, the strength is still Rosa and Atomos, right? And things like that.
Yeah,
you're only playing ice just to get lockout easily.
Just to get the lock. And even then, it just still felt like sometimes lock just doesn't do enough. It's like, it's the lock. It's like, that's cool. But then when you get the lock and then the Luso comes out to just really make sure that nothing survives, and then Bismarck's just hanging out as well. Those are all still win cards, right? They're just making sure that if you have to do this a second time, the double tap, it's happening. But then, your MVPs, almost all the forwards in that deck just like do something devastatingly insane, like the Zidane and stuff, who can like almost solo any setup deck, especially if they're against the same color and they start stealing key cards that that the pilot can use. It's just insanely good. So that's why I see, like, I don't see that deck leaving that, what'd you call it, the deck triangle.
Yeah, deck triangle.
Yeah, I don't see that deck leaving anytime soon, because you have so many powerful cards that's gonna be cemented as one of the 3. The other 2, on the other hand, their powers, they increase because of the new additions from Opus 18, right? Because Mono Water. When was the last time Mono Water was relevant?
Oof.
Jeez, that's like Opus 8, Opus 9.
right? Like we're still doing Cagnazzo stuff, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
They're confused. And Mono Water was just good, like in the last set with the Titus deck, where you would like have the Folka Titus.
That's okay. Yeah, see, that's
Oh,
we're focused more on like the light stuff, right? Like,
We
I
didn't
mean,
see so
well,
much of it anymore after the ban, though, right? And I think that's kind of why we forgot about it.
After the Mastery
It's true.
ban, yeah.
That's
the
true.
Matri ban. Yeah. Okay, that's. I like how Mono Water has that identity where it really does flow, right? It bends to whatever it's contained into, like water, right, Bruce Lee? So you give it a certain tool, a certain aspect, and then it just takes the shape of that condition that it's being molded into, and then it just fucking excels. It's amazing. So I love Mono Water for that. That it can, because it doesn't suffer from that identity crisis that Ice has. They just give Water whatever the hell they want. Like, oh yeah, this works. Like they just gave Water an Amaterasu, right? Like legit. Opus 18 just said, you know what you don't have? You know, a summon that cancels an auto from a forward. You know, take it. You can have it. And then we'll just move on to Ice Lightning, and it's just like, when has that been relevant? That legit pairing has not been relevant because it's sometimes you feel like these cards are supposed to work well with each other, and they have really cool gimmicks and stuff, but they never really quite hit their stride.
And we tried a while with the Turks and all that other stuff.
Right, they gave us the Turks, right? And it's just like, cool, but the Turks were so damn one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, did you assemble all of them? Great. It's not like it wasn't how easy it was to do the Avalanche stuff, right? Because the Avalanche, you have the Barrett to just recur all those guys, and then if you mess up, you can do it again. Very simple. If you mess up and you can't get the jobs out, right, the Turks, then you kind of just have to sit there and take it, because they're big comeback mechanic in the form of Rufus, and then Rufus costs like 11 CP just to do anything. Right?
Yeah.
And you have to have a damage threshold. So like, not only are you supposed to be losing, but you're supposed to have CP in your hand and losing as well.
And all of them in the break zone.
Yeah, like what how does that even make sense? So their way to remedy that is that they give us Final Fantasy VIII stuff. This is cool. Take a point of damage. So you're supposed to fill your deck with Turks and then but play the Cypher package, right? Until you get to 5 and you go, psych, this was an FF8 deck. It's a Turks deck. Rufus, get him. Get him, boys.
The deep lines.
Yeah.
And then you get outmounted.
And then you just get outmounted, and it's just like,
or Leviathan. Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about?
Way off the rails.
Yeah, you guys didn't stop me. You guys didn't rein me back in. I'm just talking about.
I wanted to
fucking
see how far it would go.
It was all right for the while, but yeah, the decks, are pretty established. But you think there's still more to be explored, right? Is what I got from all that.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I've been eating a lot of frosted mini wheat, and this shit's not good for your head. It's supposed to be good for your colon, though. So, plenty of shit to be had.
Just to touch on what you said, yeah, both of these decks have only 13 ice cards. 13 ice cards in them, so it's funny. But yeah, okay. Well, I think there hasn't been much more interesting stuff. Like, I'm big on the Knights deck. I'm glad those people who tried it did well with it. And going back to the Yuffie comment you made, aside from the mono Yuffie that we've noticed, Ninja's made an appearance too a little while ago, and they're kind of resurfacing now with her, which I tried to recently at our locals, and I enjoyed it. I just think it could be better. But still, a lot more stuff to be explored for sure. Next we have Warp, right? We've been playing for a little bit now. I know we've seen a few. We only have a few. Let me rephrase. And I want to know, how do you guys feel about the new mechanic, Warp? I'll start with Sergio. Good or bad, Warp? How do you feel about it?
So Warp's an interesting one. I like the mechanic. I like the way it works. But there's only really 2 cards right now that are worth warping, and that's like Ramza and Theodore. And the Ramza is really cool, but it's restricted to Knights, obviously. So you can really only run that in a Knights deck. And so that deck will only ever be as good as the Knights package kind of allows it to be. The Theodore is less specific. It's a discard, obviously, but man, that's a very, very powerful discard effect. And a lot of people don't like Theodore, and I really, really like Theodore a lot. Um, I think setting the pace of the game like right away on turn one for 2 cards is slam dunk, and Theodore lets you do whatever you want and makes your opponent play your game. So I have been playing that card quite a bit. But the rest of the warp cards are all pretty trash. I think they're mostly unplayable. Uh, I would have said before that a lot of them are probably going to be good in like smaller formats like L3, but I don't think we're getting L3 anymore. So that spoiler alert for what we're talking about later. But so I think for Warp to continue to be like something that we're going to use, it definitely need to see more Warp cards that are on kind of like a higher power level, like Theodore and Ramza.
Going back to what you said about people don't really like Theodore, can you elaborate on that? What are some of the things you've heard? Because I know you know how I feel. Like I'm not big on it either. Like I'll jump in and just say that I have not seen the success you have with it. So
yeah,
tell us something about it.
It's I think a lot of people recognize that Theodore anytime after turn one is really not that good. So then essentially the card becomes dead anytime you draw it after turn one. And that's mostly true. I don't think I've ever resolved a Theodore for cost 9 or warped it. I've warped it a few times, like middle of the game, like when there's really nothing else to do with the CP, and the game's kind of stalling out. I think I've done that like twice though. Like it really isn't what the deck is trying to do, and the reason I think the card is good, and it actually kind of goes back to the Ramza thing, right? So like, if you want to take advantage of Ramza, you have to run a Knight's deck, right? If you want to take advantage of Theodore, you're running a deck that's discard heavy, or that at least focuses on rewarding you for discarding your opponent's hand, right? So like, I run Theodore, but like my next play, I almost always want it to be Physalis, or like my opponent then has to go hand. So okay, now I respond with Alcid's Aromas. So now like all their forwards are now dull frozen. They're now playing the game that I want to play. So like I think that's important to kind of like build around the card, and that's why I run in my deck I run the full playset and I run searchers for it so I can try and get it out turn one as often as possible and make them play my game.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
But what about the situation where it's like, because this is the argument also, right? That's like, let's say you do have it turn one, right? Mm-hmm. Now you're forecasting it to your opponent, which is normally different from discard's original plan, which was you don't know when I'm doing it, you don't know when it's going to strike. And I think that's where people find the power of discard to be a little bit more stronger, is the surprise discard, whereas Theodore is legit telegraphing the next 2 turns.
Yeah, so your opponent can play around it, of course, like and they should, right? If their ideal thing is like to set backups, as many backups as possible before the Theodore resolves. I mean, obviously they can cancel it too if they have like the Amat or Levy. But doing an Amat or Levy will cost the same amount of cards from hand that it cost you to play Theodore. So I mean, if you had a thing that said like discard 2 and your opponent discards 2, you'd play it all the time. Like you would for sure do that. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't bother that they cancel it. So what bothers is when they set up engines before you can get your stuff online, right? So in the Winnabox I did for RVA, I like one of the stream games you can watch is I lost to Sam Toole because like he had set backups. He had gone first that game. I warped Theodore on my turn 1. He had gone first, set a bunch of backups, and then he had played a Bismarck afterwards. And so I couldn't cleanly answer the Bismarck at that point because the deck doesn't really have a ton of answers to Bismarck either anyways. And so he started drawing cards like crazy after the Theodore had resolved. So that's the difference, right? Like that's how you answer that card is you set up an engine in front of it. So that way you're going to be drawing your hand size like every turn.
Yeah, I always thought Theodore lent like its strength to Ice's game plan so well, where it's not that super oppressive. Yes, you will discard 3, but like you said, there are ways around it, and there are situations where even then that card does not read well. But I think Ice needed something like this because their game plan is to eventually develop their engine to start making you discard consistently. But in order to get there, you know, they have to do the whole set up the back row, maybe get a monster or 2. It takes a lot of setup. You'll be 3 or 4 turns trying to set up something before you can get something super consistent, right? Which now the game plan would be restrictor to homeboy that searches Whis and all that stuff, right? Nero, Whis, all that fun stuff. So I think this is where Theodore comes into play. That while you're doing that, this is going to cost you an extra 2 CP. You've got that game plan ahead. So now if you manage to get some sort of engine going with, you have your regular discard plan, the one that takes, 1 or 2 cards per turn. But now if you manage to kind of like set up that with that tempo and get that Theodore to come out, it kind of just helps you because you're kind of just like, now you're rushing your opponent, making them do whatever it is that either their deck does, or they're rushing out to get some sort of something on the board. But you've still managed to get them to about 1 or 2 cards, because once you set up your discard engine in Ice, but your opponent's sitting on always 5 cards in hand, and then you start playing your cards like, cool, I can get 1 discard this turn, maybe 1 discard or 2 discards next turn. It's rough when they've always been sitting on 5 or 6. I think that's where the Theodore, like I said, it lends its strength, and it depletes that hand size regardless of how it was done, whether it was by that effect or by your opponent recognizing the impending doom, right? And then they kind of just like vomit their hand out. But either way, that's lending to the strategy that Ice is leaning towards, which I think is what was really needed for that color combination, or at least that color itself, to start making strides and be as powerful as it is right now.
Well, then, what do you think about the other warp cards as well? I mean, do you think the other ones have that same ability? Give us your thoughts.
I think everything lends itself to a specific strategy. I think the Theodore is just more impactful, and then comes the Ramza. But I wouldn't quite discount cards like Charlotta, right? Where Charlotta also has a warp 2, and this is like 1 wind and 1 of any other element. And then in 2 turns, you're going to get whatever card you want. And I think that's very powerful. I just don't think it's being utilized right now, or it's not being explored right now, right? But then the other ones just seem very lackluster, but I still think they still serve their purpose if you just revolve some sort of strategy around it. Even the Luna Freya, which is a warp, was it 3?
Yeah. No, warp 4.
It's a warp 4, but draw 3, right? So it's just like, I think that Luna Freya would actually really excel in a very hyper aggressive, maybe like a Water Lightning, which they do have some cards that can, that do lend to something like that, because we did get 2 new Lightnings, and one of them is in that color combination, and she really does emphasize kind of just coming in early and then eventually having herself recur, and it's constantly drawing a card. So if it has some sort of combo or something oriented within those colors, I think drawing 3 cards really accelerates that game plan. You just got to really find where they're more like niche warp effects, where you can stick them in. But then you have, unfortunately, very lackluster cards like Yumcax, which I think is my favorite warp card because it's fucking terrible. Yumcax does absolutely nothing, but he's not meant for the standard play, right? He's meant for the what's it called? The sealed stuff, right?
Limited and sealed.
The limited, yeah, limited. That's definitely, so they kind of give you the same aspect of warp potential, but then in the limited aspect, like that's when that card shines, right? But outside of limited, that card just you don't play it. You can, but don't expect it to do much except, I don't know, be awesome.
So I want to go back to the other card, not the one that you just mentioned. I won't say its name.
Yes, you will. I don't know what card you're talking about.
We'll call it 18-67C. That card I won't talk about. But Charlotta, like you were talking about Charlotta, that is a good effect right? And you go get whatever you want. That you know why it's not being played? Because it's in Wind, and Wind can already do whatever it wants. So there's no reason to run Charlotta because you can do whatever in that deck. It's insanity.
So I was actually playing the Charlotta in the L3 mono win deck that week, and it did help a lot actually.
In L3, it's great. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's an
because
L3 card.
But what's L3? That doesn't exist.
Yeah. And we shouldn't talk about it really. But, Tacos, before we move on, give us your thoughts on Warp. Has it been treating you right this set or not?
Bro, I've been riding Ramza like the entire time. No homo. Oh wait, no wait, no wait. Scratch that. We gotta take
Wait, he wants us to scratch it, so it is.
No. We
The
gotta
Yum
take this out.
Cax is pleased.
All right, let me start over. All right. What was the question again?
He wanted you to sing.
How does
Tell us
Warp
about riding Ramza. Tell us about that.
All right. All right, no, dude. So yeah, but it's really just Theodore and Ramza right now. Those are definitely the best two warp cards right now. Ramza's definitely been treating me well. In the Knights deck, Theodore, much like Sergio described, I think it's a good card. I mean, like at worst, like it's 2 CP for like a good body that's able to swing immediately. Like if they have to dump their whole hand. I mean, and they're top decking at that point, right? And Rams is just like Knight specific. Yum Cax is like limited. And then you got the Charlotta that's like for like L3 or something. It almost feels like Gold Star to me. But anyways, that's a different story. But yeah, I think it's a good mechanic. We can already see the Estinian that was spoiled. That looks really good. It's like 1 CP for Warp 1. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, now that's a lightning card.
Oh yeah,
with Warp. It's a shame they didn't print one out for Opus 18, but that's okay.
But yeah, I mean, like stuff like that. I mean, it's really good that we're gonna see like more Warp cards later, and probably will have like better effects as well. Definitely need to give Ultimecia and Noctis a freaking Warp effect just for the flavor.
Yeah, that's literally their main thing in the game, and we don't have one yet. But yeah, okay. So I just want to say to finish off the Warp talk is that where I do agree with all of you that those are the two that clearly outshine the rest of them. I've tried Luna Freya in most of the water decks, and I did not have. It was pointless every time, really.
Just slow.
It just takes too long. Yeah, it doesn't feel good when it comes in. And usually by the time it does, your opponent is already in a good position to deal with it either way. So it's like it just feels pointless. And yeah, as far as limited and sealed goes, those effects are actually going to be good. Like they're going to change the game a little bit for those. For if you're drafting and stuff like that. If we ever have another tournament where you have to draft first or draft after standard or Swiss or whatever, they'll have a bigger impact there. As far as looking forward to the future, I'm excited for more Warp cards. Like I said, I didn't have great success with them. I'm currently not playing any in any of my decks. I don't think. But yeah, that's it. Which leads me to the next topic, I guess. The biggest disappointments of this set. For me, it was definitely the FF8 stuff. I've personally not found a decent way to play it. All the new cards. I'm sure we'll hear a different story today, but that was it for me. I was really excited for those. I haven't given up. I just haven't really. It doesn't make sense on paper, and so I'm still waiting for it.
But why is FF8 so special to you?
It's just I like the characters. I would like to see some representation in that category. I feel like it's never been relevant, right? We've had 3 FF7 starters, the FF10 one, well 2 if you consider the first one, a bunch of 13 stuff. The list can go on if I do a little more research, but I've always wanted that to be relevant. We have so many good Squalls and Renoas that could do something, but together none of it synergizes as well as a tribe. Would tribal be the right word here? Like an 8 tribal, right?
Yeah, but they kind of need to share like some sort of job, which I get that they're students, right? So the seed candidate thing can only go so far, but not all of them are a seed candidate.
Right,
So
and then
they
there's
try
the
their
name
best.
clashing too, right? Because our searcher is Renoa, and Renoa is also. I want to search Renoa, like, because Renoa has always been the better card, right? Even from the Opus 3, 4, which one? I can't remember. The one that would like do all your opponent's forwards when it would go to the break zone. Like, we always wanted that card, and now we want the newer
With the
ones.
ultimate blocker, right?
Yeah, the ultimate blocker back in the day. You remember that, right? Those are
Yeah. And then there was a way to also like just sack her ass when you were ready to just swing for game.
The way to swing for game, exactly. And so, I want to search for her, but Renault is the searcher, and we haven't gotten a better searcher since then. The selfie is specifically seed candidates, and I don't know. I just wanted a little more out of it, and I was really excited for it when we saw the teasers or the spoilers or whatever, and then when the whole set came out, it just was a little lackluster. I'm glad we got a new. It's Ultimecia, right? The dark one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That one's excited, but I still haven't found a home for it either. So, those are my thoughts. That's my disappointment. Like, the rest of the set has been great. I like it. I don't think I can pick anything else out right now. So I'll pass it over to Taco's biggest disappointments.
I'm kind of with you on the same boat. I think I grew up like Final Fantasy VIII was probably one of the first ones right next to like Tactics, and it does feel like it's heavily underrepresented. Aside from like Squall's always getting like good cards, like you mentioned Renault as well. It's kind of cool that they gave us like Sid Kramer, the kind of color fixes, but I mean, I think it's only that card that color fixes. It doesn't really like, it's not like the rest of your cards. It's not like Soiree where it lets you pay for any with any backup. No, it's strictly just Sid Kramer.
Yeah.
He's no Shinju.
Yeah, Shinju. Yeah, there we go. That's the one.
He ain't built like Shinju either.
Yeah,
Nope.
if you unbutton the top button just a little bit, maybe we'd get somewhere. Come on, Kramer.
I agree that I'm happy to see Sid. I'm still waiting for Angelo, Eleni, and Norg, and we'll wait. I'm still waiting for those characters.
But I like that. I think they're catching their stride with what a backup should be, at least for a character right for like the representative. So like you said, it was a headmaster, right? And he's not really part of the main crew, but he does assist. So making it a backup, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's where they kind of need to go because they've gotten, you want to see your main cast up in the forefront, right? While the secondary characters, NPCs, and all that stuff that you barely interact with, but they're still relevant to the story. You want to see them represented, but, off the sidelines. Have them be the backups that assist the forwards. So we're definitely seeing stuff like that, but it's Renoa and Squall just having that crazy name clash when they keep they print out like these great effects, and it's always Squall or Renoa, and you're forced to figure out which one do you want to run.
Yeah, we just got the anniversary Squall. Right before that was the Fire Squall. Now we have a light Squall. And the Renoa promo just came out, but we have Water Renoa now. Plus, like, I don't know, it's that it just keeps going over and over again.
Yeah, I'll give credit to the Squall too. Like, I think that's fine because there's a lot of the main protagonists from different Final Fantasy that suffer that same fate, right? And the one that I think of that comes to mind is Zidane.
Yeah.
And Zidane always gets great text. And it's always like, which one do you want to run? And for the longest time, the Opus 3 one, right? The hero one? Like, that guy was just amazing. The Fun Stopper. But now the 2-drop one is just amazing. But people were running the freaking light one from the start of that because it was relevant to any sort of crazy ramp Final Fantasy 9 style deck or whatever. Like, there's always been a relevant Zidane, and the effects were always great.
Yeah.
The 4 CP was, don't touch me with abilities.
Yeah,
let me see your hand every turn.
Yeah, he had his moment, definitely. Yeah. Same thing with the
Water Zidane.
And the Water Zidane. Fire and Water Zidane.
Yeah. Oh my god, the Fire Zidane.
Yeah,
Dude would just come in and be like, oh, that's a nice dull forward you got there. Zap!
There's a Zidane coming the next set. Pre-order your place that now, because it'll probably be ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. Is full art, dual color, triple color, whatever. I don't know.
Andy, how about you? Biggest disappointments from the set?
Biggest disappointment, number one, we didn't get a Warp Lightning card. Everybody's gonna be like, well, the guy doesn't know about Garuda. But like, yeah, I like to see you put Garuda in your deck. So I've been experimenting with Garuda. Let me tell you, that card is sick, but don't play it. Actually, I have a legit disappointment, and it was from playing L3. But now that we're not going to be getting L3, it was announced not too long ago that we're going to stick with standard. If they were to implement L3, the new lightning that they printed for water and lightning is completely unplayable because there are no Odins in the last 3 set.
Yeah.
Give me an Odin. And you guys told me that there's no Odin in the upcoming 13 starter, right?
Correct.
The starter, yeah. I mean, they could get one next set, but yeah, no Odin starter. That's kind of weird.
I mean, let's talk about that real quick. I'm gonna jump in here. We've been getting like one summon a set, right? Like, if it's not Odin, then it's really bad, right?
Yeah, it's like lightning when it comes to summons and lightning. How many more Ramus are you gonna give that like are mediocre at best? You know.
Yeah.
Like the last best Ramu that we got was the 3CP one that does the dual modes, right? Choose something, dole it, choose a monster, break it, ping something for 7.
Yeah.
It really is been one of the best Ramus, and that's what, Opus 9, 10?
Something like that. That's a lot. Right?
You know?
It's like Opus 6, isn't it?
Well, we did get Ixion in 16. That's a pretty good one.
You know, and they started to branch out into what different objects or whatever that can be considered as lightning summons, right? Because it's, if it wasn't Ramu, it's Odin. But then they at one point they gave us Cyclops. I haven't seen another Cyclops ever printed ever again. Okay, Remoro was cute, you know.
Yeah.
And then Ixion. Well, this is the second iteration of Ixion. We have seen a 4CP Ixion.
Yeah.
And Raiden sometimes comes in and out. You know, we've got an awesome 1CP Raiden, but then we have a 4CP that is the most weirdest casting condition that Lightning's not used to. It's just like, wait, I'm supposed to what now with all these things? Can't it just be restricted to an active forward? You know, we love restrictions of active forwards. That's where we live. While every other deck is doing like fucking hula hoops and cartwheels, and we're just stuck, you know, 1 foot in front of the other.
Target only one active forward at a time, please.
Oh yeah.
Meanwhile, Luso's like, I'm gonna draw half the deck and also clear your board.
Hey, Water's over there pulling out their boss monster for free, and all they're really doing is just developing a board and keeping cards in hand. Can we do something like that? It's like, are you active? No? That's right. Stay in your fucking lane, Lightning.
So
If I catch you out of there again, we're gonna take another summon away from you.
Follow up then, Andy. Do you feel like Lightning's falling into that hole that Fire was back in the day, where it's like everything was?
Is Lightning the new Fire meme? When they print a card for Lightning that says "pay half your deck and do nothing," then we've we've fallen to the communists. They have the strongest of arguments. Yeah, dude. We're getting there, man. Slowly but surely, we're getting there. Because it's like you have to pair it with another element in order for it to be relevant. But if you want to stick to the monocolor, it's just not happening, right? It's just not strong enough. Even though water is just going above and beyond. I keep bringing up water because they just keep getting out of the fun tools.
It's because you play water all the time too.
I'll play against it. That's fine. But you know, I can now appreciate it. Shit, even I start dabbling in water now. But it sucks. It sucks that when one element starts getting all the tools, one element already had all the tools. You know, it's like water's catching up to wind's level. Wind's level is just insanely high, and then fire is like it's dipping back down. Right? It was insanely powerful, and then it dipped down, but it still always has access. As long as they don't get rid of the access to Amaterasu, the fire is still great, right? Like that's the card that keeps it above the surface of mediocre.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Man, but yeah, it's sad, but I really do think we're heading in that direction.
Okay. I can see it too. That's why I brought it up. Sergio, biggest disappointment for the set?
Definitely Theodore. No, I'm just um, mine's kind of weird. So for me, it's actually Avalanche because I am a big Avalanche fan, big FF7 fan, obviously. And so I saw Billy Bob and I saw the new backup, and I was like, oh man, this Avalanche is going to be ridiculous now. And I've been getting my ass handed to me with Avalanche every time I use it. And so I don't think that the cards themselves are bad. I think it's rather that like all the other decks have like caught up to what Avalanche was doing. So I was all excited to slap together my Avalanche deck right away when the set came out, and then got hosed by like mono water and stuff. Like even Ice Lightning handles the deck really well too. So that was probably my biggest disappointment. Maybe also, and this is another weird one because I know a lot of people think this deck's really good, is the retainers. I'm not a huge fan of the retainer package. I think it's nice like in a counter aggro matchup, but in terms of like having to set the boys up to then try to get the prompter to do the draw, it just isn't that good in my opinion. So that one's left me kind of disappointed as well because I really wanted the 15 deck to be something special, but I don't think it's quite there yet.
Yeah, you were a big fan of the Kingsglaive one too, right? That's why.
Ooh, I play that to this day, sir.
Yeah, I know. That's why I brought it up. I just lost to him with my 10 deck against his 15 deck. But
just moments ago.
just moments ago before recording. I think I have to agree with you on the. I mean, I don't play 7, so I don't care about Avalanche. But like the retainers for me.
Take that, 7 fanboys.
The retainers out of the box was interesting, but and I like what people have done with it. Like they added it to the cast count, right, to kind of make it try to balance out its weaknesses. But and one of our shout outs to Bromley at Unfun. He's been showing me what it can do. So I'm more open to it. I'll probably revisit it, but I don't know what happened to that captain deck. But nobody did anything with that, right?
The captain deck? What the fuck is that?
Exactly. It's the other half of that starter.
Oh, you mean the Arden is the better part of that. The captains, once they print out a decent captain. The Glauca's pretty okay because he's like a chump blocker, and then whenever he activates the Arden, but then also goes and gets you 2 cards. So it kind of thins the deck and gives you CP. It's not so bad.
Yeah, but it's not enough. It's not what the retainers do, right? Like
the
heroes,
there's no good captains.
The hero side of these decks are always better, right?
Like
I think in general, yes, but I will say that I think Arden's the best card in that starter by a long shot.
Yeah, did you see the new Lightning that's getting printed? That shit just speaks partnership with Arden.
They're shaking hands on the battlefield like, yes, we'll make this work.
Tacos, what were you gonna say?
No, nothing. I forgot now.
It's going really well.
Because he thought about Lightning and Arden shaking hands.
Oh, I was gonna make a bad joke. It was a bad joke.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was along the lines. It was along the lines because like we're talking about captains. It's like Captain Jack Sparrow. It's like the worst captain like you've ever heard of, but you have heard of it.
There's always room for corny jokes.
Yeah.
That was a good one. It wasn't that
Sounds
even that
like
bad.
Taco's got a little captain in him.
It resolves.
Got a little captain in him.
It resolves. All right, guys. Well, it's been all fun and games, and I think we've come to the meat of this bad boy finally. Official play was just announced.
It's been all potatoes until this point. Give him the meat.
Says with a giant sigh.
Yeah. He's not guessing about this one. He knows.
Bar while we wait for the meal to arrive. So yeah, official play was announced. We have a few dates. Everything seems
on fire.
On fire. Yeah, I'm seeing both sides. We're gonna give you our takes here. Yeah. So, and I'm gonna bring this up.
You can't control yourself. You don't know where to begin.
No, I do.
It's flustered.
It's just I don't want to get upset again. But when we recorded this the first time, I mentioned I think we were waiting for the official play announcement, and I was in favor of it taking so long because I thought things were going to be different. I thought we were going to get more of what UK gets, more of what everyone was, I guess, asking for, right? And just more, right? But ultimately, it feels like we've gotten less than we normally do. And I think that's my biggest my biggest issue right now. And I'm gonna let the rest of the guys go, dive deeper into the all the matters. But I think ultimately that's what hit me, and I'm gonna do my best to make it out to as many of these as I can this year. We were able to snag our ticket for April in Orlando, and I have a ticket for San Diego.
You're part of the problem. You're the one who just hogged up all the tickets.
Yeah, I am part of the problem because I have to be, unfortunately. Somebody has to
man.
be. But yeah, so those are my thoughts. I was really hoping for a lot more.
Yeah.
I was expecting a bigger reveal, a bigger. I know there's still supposedly some information missing, right? At later dates, I don't know, but yeah, I'll leave this one open. Who wants to take next?
Oh no, I back away. I need to collect my thoughts on this one.
Okay.
But look what thinking got you.
You want me to get canceled?
No, I want you to be. I want you to. This is a safe space.
No, dude.
Bro,
I think I think I said this before, where it's like, when it comes to speaking your mind, I don't think a lot of people are doing so. I think they just bandwagon onto the whatever gets served to them. They just happily eat it. But I think they forget that they're consumers of a product. And if you go to a restaurant and you get served shit, you're going to tell me you're not going to complain about it? Think of that. Like, chew on that for a little bit. But that's not my final thoughts. But I'll hand over the reins to somebody else.
So what you're saying is that we're at the restaurant right now. We've been served shit. And the patrons at the table next to us are like, eat your fucking shit. And don't say anything.
Some people are just like, yeah, bro, because now they're just going to bring out more shit and you're not going to like it. And then, complaining is not going to get you anywhere. So just be happy with what you got.
Enjoy that burnt duck, sir. Pairs really nicely with this Diet Coke.
But I didn't ask for diet. Exactly. All right. So
speaking of Diet Nats, 70-man Nats seems really good. Right? You guys excited for that?
I'm excited to
see you there.
To watch, to not be able to see anything. I guess I'll be.
Yo, that is so offensive right now. Now the whole "see you there" thing, like, man, that's triggering. Because
see you there.
Because some people who want to be seen there might not be able to get seen there.
Maybe not.
Yes, how triggering to see you there now. Ugh. Please don't tell me to cut.
Okay, we'll have to find a new way to.
I'll see you there via stream. Like, I'll see you on the stream while you guys are playing there.
Something else they were saying for a while, but I don't remember it. But
the whale was popular for a while.
No, we don't whale.
In the whale on a minute.
It's over.
We don't whale. We never whaled.
Okay.
But yeah. So Sergio, what are your thoughts on the announcement? Yeah, I mean, I think Andy kind of handed it off to you.
Shame. Well, all right. I'll deep dive into this one. I'm sure you guys. The part that you guys have been waiting for is to see me go wild. But it's been 24 hours since this has been announced, maybe a little bit more. So my head is cool now. I'm not gonna flip a gasket. This OP announcement sucks a lot. I won't curse. I don't know if this is a family friendly podcast. But, this OP announcement sucks a great deal. And like, to open this, I don't think this is a criticism, and I really want that to be super clear on Shell or on any of the stores that are running these events, or anyone in the community. This is not my intention here. This is strictly, I'm looking at this from a objective point of view. This is a terrible organized play season. Like, just it's not good. That being said, I'll be there. I love this game, and I think this is the best card game on the market. And I would rather play this game with 0 prize support than go play some other game for a bunch of money that, like, I really don't care for. So that's why I'm not. What? What?
Battle Spirit Saga.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I don't want to name names, but yeah, that's why I'm not playing One Piece. That's why I'm not playing Battle Spirit Saga. Like I might eventually, but in the moment, right now, if I have to sit down and choose what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna spend my money to go to these events because I do think this game is that good. But these events are kind of like feels like a throwaway. Like, oh, we did this just so people would shut up, and yeah, like there's the limits on ticket entries to the material cups are way too low. The fact that they sell out in 5 hours is crazy. There's obviously way more people that could have shown up to these events. They could have been much bigger. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like I feel like they view this as like an expense and not really like an opportunity to market the game and to even in reality generate revenue. Other games they put like vendor tables out. They can sell vendor tables to like small like singles vendors and stuff like that. Like perfect example of this game. Like if they just hosted an event in Orlando at a convention center, Haven Games would have a table, Legendary Wolf Games would have a table. Like any of these guys would buy a table and sell their stuff at the event, right? Like they could make something out of it. So this feels like all these guys would be out there. Cool stuff, right? We have cool stuff down here. They sell cards, maybe. Yeah, unfun stuff. There you go. We love those guys. So, I feel like this is kind of just like a throwaway, like just to say we have a competitive scene, and that's about it. The store championships is another one that I'm not sure what their plan is with this exactly, but it says there's going to be 20 events, one-day events at the stores, and they haven't said what this pricing is going to look like. But if this is like a replacement to local qualifiers, then it probably won't be that much. That being said, I did read what's this guy's name? Tim from Europe. He said in a comment on Facebook that the pricing to store championships would be similar to what Europe had been seeing for regionals previously. So these might be stepped up from what we expect from a local qualifiers perspective. But I don't know. That we'll have to wait and see when they make some more announcements. So
I think they have the potential to have really good pricing for these store level events, because if you think back, remember the petite cups, and those were great. They had really good price support. Mind you, it was still early in the game, but not only did you have a really beautiful trophy, but you had at the time, I guess it was custom, the alternate art promos that were signed, a nice playmat, a figure, right? It was like a $300 figure or something. Yeah. Like, it was really good, really, really good price support. I feel like if they can have that level of price support in the store championships, maybe we won't be so heated.
Yeah, maybe not, right? Like if a store championship is like just under the level of what a Materia Cup's going to be, in terms of like what they're supporting, and like that might get a lot of people out there for these events. But definitely at only 20, there's going to be a lot of travel required to get to these. So that's the other thing here, is that like with such a limited number of events, you're asking people to do a lot of traveling to get a chance to get into Nats, which I won't keep beating this horse dead, but really Nats being a closed door event for only 70 people, and 6 of which have already been chosen, is insanity. Like that doesn't make any sense. That's just like terrible marketing.
Anybody else?
I think Tacos was really emotional about
He
this.
died while I was
No, he was so emotional to talk about. Like we were like, dude, we have to talk about other stuff before we get to the meat. We have to talk about the potatoes, but the meat's here, and tacos is ready. The carne asada tacos.
A lot to process. It is rather disappointing. I mean, I am appreciative that like we are getting OP, but it's unfortunate because it's not enough. Like the 20 stores is not enough. But again, we don't know the full details about the pricing. We'll have to wait to see. But I mean, that's like you mentioned, like that's a lot of traveling. If like they are big events or just to get the spots. As far as like like as compared to like LQs, like it's like less than like one per state, you know. So you just have to consider. Um, I don't know. It's kind of hard to convince like if we want like new players to like get into the game, it's really hard to convince them to play. Like when it's not a lot to look forward to. As far as like competitive play goes, we did get the reunion last year, but it's the same like almost. It feels like the same amount of like materia cups, probably a bit more. Last year, and then I don't know if like maybe we'll get like another like winter reunion or something similar to that like this year.
Yeah, I think that it was implied that we're having a Winter Cup kind of towards the end of the year.
Really?
Yeah, at the very end it says we will plan for Winter Cup events following continental championships for both Europe and North America.
What a surprise! I didn't read it all the way through.
You see, you gotta
I
do
mean,
that, dude.
but yeah, I mean it's hard. I mean, like I'm also playing One Piece too, and it's like it's really hard to like choose between the two. Like at the end of the day, like I'm not playing Final Fantasy like for money. I think like we can all agree for that.
Definitely not. We'd be broke.
But I mean, like it's hard to be like excited for something, and it's just kind of like rather lackluster. I'm not exactly sure who decides all of this, but I mean, yeah, I mean, we have to kind of voice our opinions, otherwise, like they're gonna keep doing this like the following years. I mean, yes, we are appreciative, but something does need to change. That's my thoughts on it.
I'm gonna take on what you said. The thing about the new players, we just got 2 new players. Shout outs to Josh and Albert. I don't know what I'm gonna tell them. They can't go.
They literally can't. The Florida event's already sold out.
Yeah.
So if they were thinking about it, they missed out.
Yeah, I feel bad for that.
Yeah.
And it was bad to hear that. Like, it's not just our community, right? Because we got our tickets, thankfully, but I would say at least 6 of our boys aren't going to be able to go. I don't know how many in Tampa, but we have friends over there, a lot of friends over there, and I'm primarily talking about like the Gamers Command, Sam's new crew, which they have some crazy numbers over there, and then the Jacksonville boys, like they did a wonderful job growing that community, and only 3 of them got tickets, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what I read.
Yeah, and so it's and I think I did lose that thought I was going for, but I don't care that there's a cap. I don't care if that there's only the pricing for the 100 or whatever, but they need to. I feel like they need to raise that cap a little bit. And maybe I said that in the wrong order. Like that, I do care that there's a cap, but it can't be so low. They were talking about that. Oh, it's nice that it sold out so quickly. That's how we know that there's interest. Are you kidding? Like that you didn't know that there was interest already. Like that's the problem, right? Where are you that detached from the community that you don't ask us begging for it in your Discord, in your official North American Final Fantasy Discord? How many players have asked, hey, any idea when this is happening or what's happening? How many times the post comes up in Facebook? And like they say they have friends in all of these places, but do they not tell you how everyone's dying for this? And so the fact that they needed to hear this, like they needed to find out this way that there was a demand for it or that there's hype, it confuses me. You know what I mean?
And they sold out. They're like, hey, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
It's like, yo, people actually want to play this game.
Like,
That's news to me. I never heard about this.
Yeah. Andy, want to finish us off on this one?
All 3 of you at once?
Top us off.
It'll be
Pause.
my pleasure. I don't. Anybody still listening to this at this point, first of all, congratulations. You've made it through a bunch of yumcacks, potatoes, and meat to get this far. A bunch of rambling. I think that whatever happens, don't burn down what was built within this community. Try to make it better, right? if the announcements are just really hard to swallow, step away for a little bit, breathe, relax. I know some people had a hard time with the initial impact of the low numbers and all the caps and stuff like that, but all in all, I think it's just one of those things where I wouldn't say it's like a learning experience that they went from not having anything to having something. That's still their fault for not having anything, because there's been plenty of time to announce things to gauge the community into something. A lot of trial and error, right? And then when it's just like, okay, this is now their trial and error, but at the same time they don't want to hear feedback about their most flawless plans in existence, and they just want you to accept like this is the way it's going to be, and if you don't like it, you can. It pretty much feels like that, right? If you don't like it, go play something else. They're not officially saying that, but can we read between the lines? Like that is exactly what's being said. I'm not trying to like doomsay anything here, but I just feel like if you really do feel like that, talk with your community, see how they feel as well, because you still have the power to just create stuff within your community and still get support from other people. And we like to build communities as well, and we can offer support when it comes to whatever product that we can get, especially promos and stuff like that, and share with that stuff. But I just think if you keep your head up high, go through whatever it is the plan that they have for us, see it through, and then hopefully it could just get better. But it's not to say like, please don't burn bridges, don't like hate each other on this, don't start fires and all that stuff. It's just like kind of just embrace with everybody, listen to what they have to say, because there are two sides to every story, and whatever it is that people like this and then people hate this, but there's a reason they hate this. They don't just hate it just for the sake of hating it. It's because for some people it just doesn't make sense, for other people it just doesn't make financial sense, and for other people it just doesn't work for their schedule and all that stuff. So like there are a lot of negatives to this, and the positives are just people who are just like, I'm always free, I always have time, I always have the money, I don't have a family, so I could just like, oh, this doesn't affect me at all. Yeah. Exactly.
Always on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm always on Facebook. So there's other people with other situations, and then when they see stuff like this and announce it, they just get completely, for lack of a better term, butthurt. But it's for a legit reason. It's not just because they want to come in here and start flaming people, just because, oh, that's the new sport, let's go flame the people that are instructed to make announcements and try to host events and stuff like that, because it doesn't quite really fit their specific schedule or something like that. But yeah, man, I don't know. I'm just trying to be super neutral, but at the same time, like I said, be a consumer. And if the people serving your product, isn't up to par with your standards, like voice your opinion, but just be professional about it. Don't just come in with your pitchforks and tiki torches and just trying to burn this shit down, because there are a lot more people who want to save it than there are a lot more people who want to destroy it. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, and
definitely describing all four of us for sure.
Yeah, we want to save it as much, and that's where I think a lot of people, I wish, who really don't want to voice their opinion, because they don't have time to get involved with it. They just see this as a disappointment, right? Where it's just like, okay, this looks like they're still not listening to us. They refuse to listen to us. At this point, it's just like, well, when do we say enough is enough? I don't want your product anymore. I don't want to support this game anymore. And then when people start spreading that shit, and then like minds are like, well, yeah, I don't want to support this game either, because they don't want to support me. What's the point? Aside from it being the greatest card game ever made.
Yeah, it's the only reason why I'm still playing. It's such a great card game.
It really is.
I've played like almost everything at this point. It's got me hooked still.
Yeah.
I summon my battle spirit in defense mode.
Yo, we don't talk about that game.
all of that.
No,
you're in an abusive relationship with FFTCG. It sounds like.
I think we all are.
It's just like all my relationships. Okay. Anyway, no, I do want to reinforce what Andy said there. Don't burn it down, guys. I don't want. I was actually worried about it. The big discussion that was going on Facebook that Lockwood was going to get the heat that happened at the Gamers Heaven thing. Don't do that again. Let's not do that again. I don't want that. These people like run. What's the word? Reputable, right? That's a good word. Reputable business.
I guess.
Yeah, dude. Like Lockwood's events are always great. Like I don't know why they're giving him so much crap. Like there's only so much he can do,
Lockwood's been a goat for a while, and
absolutely.
I'm not going to take that away from him. He just recently sent us more promos. because he's the man.
Sure did. He sure
I don't
did.
know.
He sent them to me, and I have them, and we will be showing them off on Monday with the next stream.
But he's
Tomorrow.
also a hypocrite, and here's why.
Oh, God.
Because he,
Oh, God.
yeah, I got you, Lockwood. I got you. Here we go. Here's the dirt. I'm sorry, buddy. I still love you, but he's emphasizing the cap because he wants to make sure everybody's comfortable and everything. But at the same time, one of his first events where he held in like a beach house or whatever, right? There was no cap there, and he said, "Fuck it, let's just cram whatever the fuck we can in there, and let's throw a crazy event." And I missed that Lockwood, the crazy Lockwood, the one who
It's
says,
Lockwood.
"I want all the Final Fantasy players in this shit. We're making it big."
Was it like in his house? The tournament was in his house? Like 100
It was at
how many people?
It was the country club apartment. Like
Yeah, and it was awesome, dude. One of the
Oh,
Dude,
best
that's
that
things
was
ever.
so
year
great.
one. Jesus.
Yeah, that was like my first FF event. That was so great.
you weren't there, Tom.
You weren't there, Tacos. You weren't even alive, bro. You weren't even born. Shut up.
This
Whoa,
is before
whoa.
Gen Con.
Wait, this isn't like the first reunion that they did?
No, this is before reunion. This is Lockwood's like backyard brawl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is before all of you.
Oh, okay.
This is when Alfred. I have pictures of Alfred and his body pillow. This is
Oh,
this is when Jesper came out, and I was playing Buckaboo Jesper.
oh wow. Okay, that's a minute.
Yeah, I think I didn't go to that event. I was playing at the time, but I didn't go to that event because they were like, "Oh, it's at somebody's house," and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not traveling to go to somebody's house." I had come from playing Wild TCG before, where we had like events at like convention centers, and then I was like, "I'm not going to some guy's house. I'm gonna get murdered."
Yeah, Andy and I went to the Ifrit Summoners Cup, whatever
Yeah, the Summoner series.
Summoner
The
series,
Ifrit.
and then followed by that was Lockwood's, and we were all about it, bro. We were in there.
Yeah, dude. That shit was awesome. We were so hyped for events. We got a taste of that. We're just like,
That
dude,
was actually-
we need to do more of this, and it keeps happening locally here, and that's what I love, man. I love the whole like local crazy grind aspect of the scene. I was like, man, we need more of that. That's the best thing.
And I like that you brought that up too, because I was thinking about that in the I guess I don't know if I want to say the likely or the the unlikely chance here, but that the four of us don't make it to Nats, right? Why don't we just host our own everyone who's not at Nats party event, no cap, here in Florida?
You mean no
It's
cap?
easier
Like,
said
like
than
what the
done.
kids are saying is like,
You're
no, that's not a lie, or
Oh.
Actually, I think it's easy. It's actually that easy if you just put up a full art Yuffie and be like, "Yo,
Let's get
this
one,
is- This is.
and then
I have to get
I
another
still-
one." Ugh.
I still have a fake Tifa I need to give away.
Fake
No,
Tifa
we can
statue?
between the four of us, we can come up with some like really nice pricing.
We're not going to get into that because it's a long time from now. But if you've made it this far, I'm saying this
If you've
now,
made it further than the farthest point,
Triple Triad will be hosting not at Nats tournament. Good night, everybody.
not at Nats tournament. I love it.